Hey, I am in Texas, in the most insane home I've ever been in. Thank you, MusicBed, who allowed us to come crash here for the week. But today we are talking about editing. You pretty much need these to see across.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Lou.
How's it going?
Who better to talk about editing than with our editor, Lewis? If you haven't met Lewis before on this channel, he's been with us 3 years. He's cut many feature films, award-winning feature films. And we are going to talk about editing. Lewis is going to take us through his core foundational tips for cutting. So strap up, because this is going to be a good one.
Let's do it.
So Lewis, you're the guy to talk to about editing. What is one of the first core foundational tips you would have?
The number one big tip I would have for people is just because you have it doesn't mean you need to use it in the edit. When I get my footage, I'll see people will shoot 6, 7, 8 multiple angles of the same thing happening. Your job as the editor is to only offer the audience what they need to know in the shortest time possible. I think we all in our daily lives know what it looks like for somebody to walk into a house. So just choose the 1 or 2 shots that depict that the best way possible.
Yeah, we don't need to see every single angle of them walking around. Just because your DP got excited about the new camera he was using, like an Fx30, it doesn't mean it has to go in the footage.
Coverage is great, but for DPs, I think having quality is better than quantity.
Use the bare minimum that tells the story. Unless, of course, you're trying to show that someone's life has repetition or that their life is monotonous. So lots of boring little moments happen throughout the day, which is kind of like the emotion of the film.
And that is point number 2. Now that we've shown what's happening, we need to also feel what's happening. And to do that, we need to connect the emotion in each scene. You can do that through editing pace, how quickly or how slowly you're cutting. You can do that through color. And then the third, and perhaps the easiest and most impactful way, is through music.
I know for a fact that our differences are so primitive. If we're only able to process this properly, give it a lot of thought, we can easily overcome.
Music can really set the tone in each scene and relay exactly what emotion you're trying to share with your audience. If we put EDM music or something energetic, you feel like they're getting ready for a party or something. But if we put depressing, sad piano music under it, you feel like this person is lonely, waiting for something to happen.
I gotta get my phone. Maybe you just blur some of this out. I'm in my boxers. I don't even know where it is. There it is. It's still working. I mean, it's supposed to.
As an editor, understand with each scene what emotion you're trying to share and try to be assertive with that.
Yeah, one composer I worked with explained to me that music is what's felt rather than seen. Everything that your cinematographer captured is what's being seen on camera. But then what you want people to feel really comes through in the sound design. It's the tone that you're setting, and it's really amazing how much you can change from scene to scene with just a little bit of music. And speaking about music, as far back as some of my first documentaries that I ever made, like this one in Haiti, one of the first things I do before I even get on set is I go over to MusicBed, I find the emotions I'm looking for, and I begin building a playlist that not only will inspire what I shoot on set, but gives me a roadmap in the edit on how to build out my story. Quite honestly, every one of my films I've ever made, from documentaries from 10 years ago up to my feature film OK, which by the way is playing in Vancouver this week, and London at the end of the month if you want to come hang out, I have used MusicBed as an integral part of the edit. And I put together a playlist down below of some of my favorite MusicBed scores, so you can hear firsthand just how good the film composers are that they're using. Hear the difference yourself and sign up for a free account and use the code MARKBONE at checkout to receive 1 month free when you purchase an annual subscription. He's eating the props. Classic, hey?
They call me the human garburator.
Louis. Do you hate when people call you Louis?
I hate when people call me Louis.
Well, for 3 years now, I've been calling him Louis G. So sorry about that. But anyways, I feel like there's too many cool places in this house for us to go.
That's true.
We should just switch up the shot.
In the fastest way possible.
So we established as an editor, it's about getting people through the journey efficiently. It's about setting emotions so people are feeling that journey. What's next?
The third one is always know your roadmap. Always know your beginning, middle, and end, even before you start your edit. And you'll see me sometimes before I even dive into my Premiere Pro project, I'll get some cue cards, I'll get some Post-its, and just try to think of where to place scenes. And what that does is it'll give you a place to start, and it'll help you visualize ahead of time. That's gonna save you time in your edit, but it's also going to give you a really concise through line. So really quick, just to add to this point, here's the roadmap that I laid out before starting to edit the Tornadoes project that I'm working on with Mark. After watching all of the footage and taking notes, I wrote down on index cards each scene I thought that I had in the footage, and I began organizing it kind of like a puzzle. I also did this at a time when we only had enough footage for the beginning and the middle parts of the story. So it's not like I forgot the end, it's just not there right now. I've color coordinated my index cards based on really broad themes. The blue represents the tornado chasing. The yellow represents anything related to the chasers' families. You can see I've also added notes on my whiteboard around the cards that signify different emotions that I'm really trying to elevate in those particular scenes. Now, it's okay for this roadmap to change as you begin your actual edit, but taking an entire day sometimes to just organize things in a tangible manner, it's really gonna help your brain think through the entire story.
You're saying know where you're starting, but most importantly, know where you're ending, and then build your structure from there.
I think the roadmap analogy is apt because if you're trying to get somewhere and you don't have that roadmap, you're just driving around hoping to find that end.
Would you say a tip is cut your last scene first?
No.
Okay, that's all right.
There's certain scenes when I begin an edit that I know are going to be foundational to that story. And what I will do sometimes is edit that specific scene and then start to build around it from what my roadmap says. Sometimes it's the second scene from the start that you know, but you don't really know how the story begins. I'll edit that, create a tone, create an emotion, and based off of that, head back into that first scene that I imagined and build that almost as a runway to that standout scene.
2 more bonus points I'm gonna pull from actually watching Louis work as an editor. One, I would say, and you would agree, watch all your footage.
Yes.
Watch all, because you never know what gold is in the footage. It's time consuming, but it's so important.
Watch all your footage, take a lot of notes, and watch all your footage listening to what's going on. Don't be listening to background music, because that's sometimes when I feel things, when I laugh at things. And as an editor, you're the first audience to the footage. Your emotional connection to that footage is the most important thing when you're editing, truthfully. Keep it up, Nate. Only 4 more hours of footage to go.
And then the other bonus tip I would say, watching you as an editor, Louis, is you always start with the voice.
Always, 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 always. And you're going to hate me for saying this, Mark.
Okay.
But I don't care about B-roll. I don't care about color. I'm not gonna mess with any of that. The first thing that I do is I listen to the interview, I start cutting things together, I start building out that roadmap that I've already visualized, and I'll have an audio version of the entire story there, and then that's when I can begin pulling out B-roll that actually is important to the story and actually relates to that bedrock that we've already built.
That's cool. That's what we call the radio edit, where it's just the audio. My background is cinematography, and I obsess over B-roll. And I'll often be in the edit with him, and I'll have my own laptop open, and I'll be like, hey, did you see this B-roll? And Lou's like, yeah, it's not really important for the story. And it cuts deep, but in the end, he's right. Lou, those were great tips. I say now, though, we go rip some jet skis.
Oh, let's do it. That's how this story ends.
He's a good editor. Don't know about the acting.